I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm not even supposed to be here today! Oh, fuck you!
Come on, you want me to drive? You're supposed to be suicidal. Remember, I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car.
Fuck me in the ass. Fuck you, you fucking stupid cunt.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. This movie review is going to be for Jurassic World Rebirth. Yes, they made more of these films. They made another one of these films. Dominion got bad reviews, but made over $1 billion, so let's make another sequel. Ha ha ha! Of course. And I know, after, when I review this, people are going to be like, hey, nah, Daniel Craig's going to shit on another movie again. Yeah, I will if I don't like it and I think it sucks. So deal with it. If I don't like a movie, I'm going to shit on it. Regardless if it gets good reviews or not. Welcome to Opinions. But yeah. So what is the plot of Jurassic World Rebirth? So, it's been 5 years since Dominion, and so dinosaurs are living among humans is still not going well, because they're all now pretty much going extinct anyway. So an expedition braves isolated equatorial regions to extract DNA from 3 prehistoric creatures for a medical breakthrough. Yeah, so as for my reaction to Jurassic World Rebirth, well, as you guys all know, the first Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite films, and one of my favorite films from Steven Spielberg. The sequel, The Lost World, I know a lot of people shit on The Lost World. I always find The Lost World very underrated, and honestly, it's the one sequel of the series that I can say I love. Well, love almost as much as the first one. Of the stuff that comes after the first one. The rest, I could live with. I really could not care for that much. You all know I hate Jurassic Park 3. The one where Alan dreams of a talking fucking dinosaur and the T-Rex gets murdered off. Jurassic World was there was stuff in Jurassic World I enjoyed, but it was really just a nostalgia bait rehash of the first film. Just now a SeaWorld themed dinosaur park and not a normal dinosaur themed park. And really if it did not go well in the first one, why would you want to reopen that shit again? And make a SeaWorld version of it if it didn't work the first time, and if it went bad the first time, why would you think people would have learned not to bring back the dinosaurs again? And guess what? Surprise! Chaos happens and the dinosaurs start killing a bunch of guests. Big surprise. But Jurassic World 1, of the Jurassic World films, it's the best one. I'd say it's the most watchable of the spin-offs, but Fallen Kingdom I thought was an annoying piece of shit. It was basically a worse version of The Lost World, where probably having characters make some really idiot decisions on the island, or at times even, and then they basically take the dinosaurs back to the city, pretty much rehash the finale of the Lost World. Characters make even more dumber decisions in the Lost World, where the elevator scene when the executives are trying to escape, one pushes one lady near the button out of the way so he can close the elevator door, and then she screams in fright at the dinosaur attacking one of the hunters and alerts the dinosaur of their presence, and they all die. And then you have that BS plot twist of that kid being cloned and also two annoying researchers, which one of them being played by the kid from Detective Pikachu. And Dominion was a slight improvement. The theaters version, I've not seen the extended version of Dominion. I've only seen the one that went to theaters. I thought that one was not even great either, but it's slightly better than Fallen Kingdom, but the big conflict in that one with all the bloody locusts. So yeah. But Dominion, despite the bad reviews it got, it still made $1 billion, like I said, so yeah, they were not done milking this franchise to its core, so they made another one, and this one is still making money regardless of reaction, so I would not be... As much as I wish they would stop making any more of these damn films, they probably will. They're probably going to make another one because it's still making money. It's not making as much money as Dominion or Fallen Kingdom, but it's still making a big profit, regardless if people like them or not. So, yeah. Now, is this movie as bad as the last two? No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, to be fair. I mean, it is an improvement over the previous two Jurassic World films, but it's real. I wouldn't say that's really saying much, because I thought this movie still sucked, and I wish they would stop making more of these damn films at this rate. But I'll get to that stuff later. So how was this made? Well, work on this film began shortly after Dominion, where executive producer Spielberg recruited David Cope to help him develop a new installment in the series, and he had previously wrote the original film and wrote the sequel, The Lost World, that Spielberg hated, even though I love... Never mind. Development of Rebirth then got reported in January 2024, and they hired Gareth Edwards, the director of some films I've liked. I liked Rogue One. I liked The Creator. He also directed the boring Godzilla film from 2014, which I thought that sucked. Then he got hired as a director a month later. And the filming took place in Thailand, Malta, and United Kingdom from June to September 2024. And then after the film was officially shot and advertised, Jurassic World Rebirth had premiered on June 17, 2025 in Odeon in London and got released in the United States and Canada on July 2nd. And the beginning of this month, and July is coming to an end. And it's received mixed reviews from critics, as of course with most of the sequels, but it's gotten better reviews than Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. It has better reviews than 3. And it's made over $700 million worldwide so far. Let's get on with the bad qualities and the story and why I did not like the film and how the film goes. So, the last few films have not been great. This film had to carry a lot on its shoulders, but it still feels short, regardless of what it does. And the problems with the film, the movie tries to go back to the horror elements of the first film, but it doesn't matter, though, because the horror elements, when they came up, they were not intense at times, and it just did not feel groundbreaking. The plot was still laggy and slow. And there are characters that are wasted, and some characters apparently have plot armor, and characters don't even really develop. And honestly, like, this film did not even feel Jurassic. It just really did not. Like, you could call this anything else, and you really would miss nothing. You could call this any other dinosaur film, and you don't get much else, because our main dinosaurs from the franchise do not appear. You get a Dillosaurus for like a second. The T-Rex isn't like what the T-Rex you're familiar with is in one scene of the film, and he's gone after that. And so it doesn't fit with what you get from the scenes in the film. And the director and the writer, like, it's like they just didn't know what to do. I mean, the writer did the first film, and the director did stuff like Rogue One, the creator, but they just didn't, I don't know what to say, man. It just did not feel Jurassic. It was just I'm sorry, but this film was just forgettable. So it's hard for me to come up with stuff. So how do we start off the film? Well, we start off like 5 years before the Jurassic World movies even happen. There's this InGen lab that's using a laboratory on this island of El St. Hubert on the ocean. And of course, one of these creations, which is this D-Rex that really did not look as intimidating as people made the creature out to be, and it looked like a giant bald alien, escapes containment, and an employee gets killed and wreaks havoc, and they have to abandon the island. And you want to know how it happens, guys? It happens from the wrapper of fucking Snickers. How it goes is a person was clearly, I need a Snickers bar, and I'll throw a wrapper on the floor. And guess what? Snickers bar sucks into the door thing, breaks the door, and that's how the fucking D-Rex gets out. Yeah, from wrapper of a fucking chocolate bar is how this thing gets out. So, like, seriously, if that's all lazy enough, here's an idea. If you're in a lab, this is why you don't fucking litter your garbage. Here's the thing. If I'm eating a Snickers bar, got my wrapper. Where should I put it? Oh, the garbage? Okay, I'll put it in the garbage where it fucking belongs. Because I'm not lazy. And actually clean up my fucking garbage. Like, wow. Yeah, let's litter a candy wrapper in a lab with a dangerous creature that could probably get the fuck out any time. And literally that's how our D-Rex gets out from a fucking Snickers wrapper. So, like, yeah, so we get to our present day where it's now 2027, and the Earth's climate is now becoming dangerous to the remaining dinosaurs, and they're all going extinct again. And so they now have to reside in areas around the equator. And they resemble this other climate. And they're marked as no travel zones. And the story and script leave a lot to be so that's how our story is starting off. The story and script really leave a lot to be desired. The dialogue is stilted, and there are jokes in the film that come off as forced. Like, in one part when they're all starting off their mission, our characters are recruiting this one museum worker for their mission. I'll mention those characters later. And he first stops for a bit to eat a breath mint for 2 minutes, and then says, "Okay, I'm in." Yeah. Wow, and the characters in this film, they're just one-dimensional and forgettable. The plot is just really bland and predictable. And it feels like 2 different scripts just mashed together into one. There's one involving mercenaries trying to collect blood from 3 different dinosaurs for make a heart disease cure, which is, I guess, a unique premise for the franchise, and there's other half that follows a stranded family on the island that are just struggling to survive. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be about. Like, at first, both sides meet up together, but then one side gets kicked off the boat by our antagonist, and then they're pretty much on their own until the finale on 2 separate stories. And of course, these plot lines are jarring because the family story is even less compelling, and it tries to balance both arcs, but it's just not developed well. And because the director and writer, they really could have just focused on just one. And another issue with this is, of course, the obsession with the mutant dinosaurs. Like, the hybrid, the D-Rex, it does not look as cool as many made it out to be, and it doesn't even look like a dinosaur. Just some giant-ass weird alien creature, like a bald alien from some random sci-fi film. So it feels pointless, and this D-Rex isn't even in the movie on that much till like the beginning and the finale, and the plot doesn't revolve around clone experiments or engineering. I mean, I didn't care much for the last few films either, but here's the thing though, at least, in the very least in the last few films, there was at least some use of practical dinosaur animatronics, and Rebirth really features no animatronics at all, and all the aliens just feel CGI except for like the T-Rex in the one scene it has. Like Hollywood just feels so out of touch with the public. Right here, like you think like with Jurassic World you get maybe a much better dinosaur action adventure film with different characters this time if they didn't like the last two, but still with the horror theme, and they do try to have the horror theme in this, but the horror theme just does not feel scary at all in this movie. Like, it does not have the edge of your seat, like, build up to, like, the whole storm, and when, in the first film, Dennis shut down the security system in the first half. That stuff hasn't been matched since. Like, in the first film, like, why the first film was best? Because you felt the suspense and the horror in the first film. Right there, you really felt the tension in the first film. Here, you really don't. Here, because our new, like, mutated dinosaurs, they don't contribute much to the plot. Except for, like, being, like, some of the subplot scenes, and some of the dialogue is just bad, and the humor, like, they still have a lot of humor in this film, and it's way too campy. And it also really hurts the message, and the foreshadowing also makes it really predictable. It creates no stakes. So now we meet our main characters of the film. So we meet Martin Krebs as executive, at a company called Parker Genetics, and recruits this ex-military covert named Zora Bennett to collaborate with this paleontologist named Dr. Henry Loomis on a top-secret mission to retrieve biomaterial samples from the 3 remaining prehistoric specimens. They hold a key to a new heart disease treatment. And, of course, that's when you get the breath mint scene that goes on for like 2 minutes before we get to our new location at this Barney name, when Zora recruits a friend named Duncan Kincaid, Marta Shalley's character, to lead the expedition, and he brings this boat driver named Leclerc, this mercenary Nina, and a security chief Bobby Ottawar. So they go off to St. Hubert, they get samples from their dinosaurs they need to get it from are this aquatic Mosasaurus, the terrestrial Titanosaurus, and an avian mutated pterodactyl named Quetzalcoatlus. So, and meanwhile, then you also get another subplot involving this family right there that were honestly not interesting, and the stuff I wish the film could have just been about. It should have just been about the researchers. I didn't care much for this family or this in-law trying to get the dad's approval, or the smallest kid of the family that befriends this little dinosaur. This mutated Triceratops. I didn't care for that subplot. It didn't add much to the film. And it just felt like it was just there to pad in the runtime. So, the family gets shipwrecked by the Mosasaurus because they were sailing around the island, and the family consists of Father Ruben, his daughters Teresa and Isabella, and her boyfriend Xavier, that at first, like, clearly Ruben does not like at first, or doesn't really approve much of, but the team rescues the family, and Zora is able to get a sample from the Mosasaur, but of course, like they really could have predicted, it returns with these Spinosauruses and attacks the ship, and Bobby and Nina get killed. And Martin turns out to be the big bad of the movie, because he prevents Teresa from radioing for help, to protect the whole mission, the secret of the mission, and doesn't bother helping her when she and the rest of the family fall overboard. And then most are forced to the ship aground, and the team gets stranded. So Zora informs them but Zora, though, is able to employ a rescue helicopter to circle the island in 24 hours. Like, yeah, that's the thing. The film tries to juggle 2 mismatched plots. Like, one involving this corporate hired mercenary team that were not bad. That was not a bad subplot. That does feel like a subplot that would belong in a Jurassic Park or World film. They're going to extract blood from some giant dinosaurs for Heart to Seize research, and then you have a bland family that you don't care about. They're just there to kind of fill in the runtime to make it 2 hours. They just stumble into danger because they're taking a vacation on a dinosaur-infested island, but nothing. The decisions they make don't make sense. And whenever they go through the jungle, this stuff's not as thrilling. Like the one part of their subplot that's thrilling is just the scene with the T-Rex, because it actually feels like a Jurassic Park scene, and just the characters in general, like, they're just flat. They don't have any development. They don't have charm. They don't have stakes. And they don't even feel like they're in any real danger. Really till the finale. Because they're able to easily dodge a bunch of dinosaur attacks in the slowest ways possible. And the dinosaurs in this film, hell, the dinosaurs in this one are just useless. Because they are unable to catch they're only able to catch like 2 people. They're not able to catch anybody else, and they just feel like a bunch of mascots on a theme park ride, and they don't even feel like any real threats in this one. And yeah. And the fact is, like, most of this all started and it got out because of a fucking candy wrapper. Yeah, and that somehow broke the security system and unleashes every mutant dinosaur on the island. And that kicks off the movie. Which is, no, that's not creative. That's lazy writing. Right there. And I don't think a candy wrapper would even break a door that quick. Because it's not that big. Like, the direction, the editing felt awkward, and of course the concept was kind of just stupid. We're just using dinosaurs for a pharmacare vaccine. And the plot structure was just bad, and the plot was just useless, and the character writing was shallow and formulaic. And our villain is, of course, this generic head of a big pharma company that doesn't really reveal he's evil until he pushes the family off the boat. And then he doesn't really act evil for the rest of the film until he sees the family again when they all reunite in the finale. So he doesn't really feel much like a bad guy. Another thing, I didn't really care for Zora or subplot with the paleontologist guy. I didn't really care for Zora as the lead character. Like, at one point in the film, when she's talking with Marshall's character, she mentions at one point where she didn't end up going to her mother's funeral. And Marshall is like, and Marshall, the character, even comments, like, that's a low thing to do, and which, yeah, it kind of is. And so, anyway, so the team continues their journey while the family's wandering through their subplot jungle. They extract a sample from a Titanosaurus, and their third and final sample comes from an egg, and from this Quetzalcoatlus egg, and while on their journey, they stumble across these mutated Apatosauruses with long tails that are kind of the Titanosaurus, and kind of mating. They think it's wonderful, and they get the sample from the Titanosaurus, and somehow they don't get discovered by the Titanosaurus. And so and then their next egg, the one from the egg, is near this very high cliff. And surprising with the way they're looking down, I'm surprised they don't slip and fall off the cliff, but they're able to climb down the cliff easily, and they're able to get the sample from the egg, but the Quetzalcoatlus shows up, and this is the one dinosaur that actually tries attacking them when it sees them, because they're taking blood from one of its babies. So I can see why it would get pissed at that, and it pretty much attacks them, and at first the paleontologist guy almost died. I mean, he doesn't die, but he does kind of like fall off and tries to he's able to get the sample, but he almost falls off, but there's water below, so he just falls into the water, and somehow with the high fall, he doesn't die, and it's perfectly fine. Because it's plot armor. It's plot armor, and nobody's in danger. We can't have any stakes in the film. But And so meanwhile, our lame and uninteresting family is stranded and they're searching for this village or something or other settlements, and they encounter some other dinosaurs like this Aqualops, and one part the in-laws on watch, and the dad comments the in-law saying, "After you saved my daughter, you're really not that bad. I was wrong about you." And there, so he does start to like him there. But then, of course, when the in-law goes to take a piss, there's this dinosaurs being devoured in the background during this whole scene, which just comes off as a joke. And so they encounter more dinosaurs, the Aqualops, this mutated Triceratops that Isabella adopts and names it Dolores. And that stuff, I didn't care about that stuff either. You see the Dilophosaurus that does its like signature pose at one of the daughters, but then because the T-Rex is sleeping, it runs off before it can really do any attack. But the T-Rex and like one of the oldest daughter is trying to get a raft and is able to float up the raft, but the T-Rex then wakes up because she's too noisy when she gets it, and activates it at the worst possible time, and it wakes up the T-Rex. It sees them and it chases them, and of course, it looks like it almost kills the youngest daughter, but you know the youngest daughter's not going to die because the franchise would not do that. They can't kill off kids in the franchise. No Jurassic Park film would do that. Well, I think Jurassic Park 3 did that, but the rest of the films have not. But Jurassic Park 3 did that in the beginning. I think it did that in the beginning, but it's what I think that's what I remember, but like there are a lot of things that do get bop in the beginning and they don't mention it again, and you don't really get much of a resolution to the subplots in the film, so you wonder why they even get brought up in the first place, and the movie wants you to care about these characters, but I don't care about these characters. There's nothing interesting about them. You don't connect with them that much. You don't connect with the You don't connect with the family. I don't really connect with the researchers. I didn't really connect with Zora and the paleontologist subplot. And and there's also like all the product placement in the film, such as the stupid Snickers wrapper. Yeah, because of course I like the idea of a bunch of fucking brands showing up in a Jurassic Park movie. Likely because they just want to sell more merchandise from the brands, of course, because nowadays, it kind of feels like they also make more of these films because they gotta make toys at Walmart. They gotta sell candy wrappers. They gotta sell Blizzards at Dairy Queen. They got... they did a Dairy Queen thing with the first 2 Jurassic World films. And stuff to the plot really just advances over the continuity of itself and the logic of actions or decisions made by the characters, with a bunch of plot jump cuts and outcomes, and most of the film, you only get like 5 dinosaurs that don't do anything, but they're just there to be there. The T-Rex scene, as cool as it was, even that felt pointless because after the T-Rex chase, the T-Rex is never seen again. It was just there for the sake of a plot device. Like, if you cut out that scene, you would also miss nothing because it doesn't contribute anything to the plot. And do they think this film would actually be scary if they added a bunch of mutated dinosaurs? And that literally just looked like a bunch of dinosaurs from films like Alien or Predator or Tremors, and they just look rather odd though, and they lose the appearance of the dinosaurs from the earlier films. The D-Rex really just D-Rex, like I said before, it looks like a giant bald alien. It does not look anything like a dinosaur. You could call this anything else. You don't even have to call this a Jurassic World film because there's barely any Jurassic connections. You could call this anything else, and you would miss nothing. It would make no difference. It would still be the same film. So, now we get on to the finale where, after our 2 subplots, the groups do reunite, but these mutated raptor hybrids called Mutants, these are the few dinosaurs in the film that try to attack the main characters. But Of course, the daughter recognizes Martin. Hey, you're the guy who pushed me off the ledge. No, I'll take the samples now, so nobody gets hurt. But then, of course, the mutadons attack them, and Martin steals the samples and wants to flee. Right there, of course, the rescue helicopter that Zora called earlier, it arrives. Just as, like, Marshally's character lights a flare. But, of course, then the copter, though, it gets destroyed by the D-Rex, the bald alien D-Rex, and it devours Martin. So our big bad is killed by the D-Rex, and then the family hides in a shop for a little bit. Little girl hides in one of the coolers as the D-Rex is looking around. Then of course you also get somewhat of a heroic sacrifice with Henry lighting a flare that almost just feels exactly like the same scene from the first one. Like, remember when Ian lit the flare to distract the T-Rex? So that Alan. So Alan could save could save Grant's grandkids in the truck. It almost in a way feels reminiscent of that. It's because it's like they just wanted a throwback to that scene. But the thing is, though, it comes off as a pointless self-sacrifice because Henry, though, is able to survive. And they find a boat that's connected to the facility, and Duncan is able to divert the D-Rex, and then reunites with the group as they escape, and so then they leave the island, and with the samples in their hands, Zora and Henry agree to distribute the new medication without a patient, and it's going to be open source for the entire planet. So, how do you know if this medication's going to work with no patient? Aren't you kind of supposed to test it out? So, make the cure, and so what if it doesn't work if you don't test it out then? What's your backup solution? What, gonna go back and get more? Yet again? That's how this movie ends. Zora makes it open, gonna make this cure an open source, same in the world. And in the world, so just does not seem at all like an improvement, and it clearly feels like an obvious sequel hook so they can make more films. And the D-Rex, of course, that's still alive. And the big bad pharmacare company is still going to probably operate even without Martin in the picture. And of course, like, Isabel now adopted that mutated Triceratops named Dolores. Yeah, like, it's going to take it home, but the beginning of the movie just established the fact that dinosaurs have been dying outside their environment, so won't Dolores die in the real world as soon as they get there? So, honestly, it just makes no sense, and they're going to establish this whole cure to anybody without even a patient, which, how do we know that's going to work? It probably won't if you don't test it out. Like, when you create a cure, you're supposed to test it out on people. You don't just go, well, we're going to make this cure available for anybody, and we're not going to test it out. Whatever, man, but that's the end of Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, would I have any good qualities with the film? Yeah, I do. I mean, the dinosaur set pieces are pretty enjoyable. And there is some horror elements, like kind of like in the opening. And there is a kind of a Jaws-like moment involving the most sus star at sea. And I guess the finale, I guess, wasn't bad. I mean, the finale at least does kind of try to have a bit of a horror tone. Like, there were some kind of cool moments when the D-Rex was kind of looking around the whole deserted convenience store. And as kind of filler as the T-Rex scene was, it was kind of a cool standout set piece. And I will admit, the characters, as bland and not interesting as they are, they're not as bad as like some of the side characters in Fallen Kingdom. And they're slightly smarter than some of the characters in that film as well. And there is some not bad cinematography, and there is some nice shots. And the lush forests and flower rivers are pretty vibrant and real, and they add to the film's visual appeal. And once again, like I said, I like they did kind of try to go back to the horror-ish tone of the first one, but even if it does kind of fail in it. Other than those, yeah, I still hate this film. It is better than the last two, but that's not really saying much. As much as I wish they'd stop making more of these films, they probably won't, because this series always makes money, despite the reactions. Fallen Kingdom and Dominion got hate from people. That didn't stop them from making money. So this is already making money. So more will happen. So in the end, if you are tired of Jurassic Park being milked, then I would probably not watch this and just go rewatch the original film or whatever sequels you do like instead. Anyways, that's it for my review of Jurassic World 4. We're going to go Jurassic World 4. Here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you have not liked the last few Jurassic World films, there's nothing to like about this either, because this doesn't return to the glory days of the series, so I would just avoid this film as well. If we're going to go Jurassic World Rebirth, I'm going to give Jurassic World Rebirth a 4 out of 10. Alright, there we go, guys. That wraps up my review for Jurassic World Rebirth. Now I want to know in the comments down below what you guys think about Jurassic World Rebirth, whether you guys really did like this movie, or whether you're one of the few that just did not care for this film like I did. And until then, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to Don G. Corleone.